have breaking news right now. Malaysia Airlines confirms it has lost contact with a plane carrying 227 passengers and 12 crew members.
And so began one of aviation's greatest mysteries.
The plane just vanished from the radar screen. You know, we went totally dark.
The Boeing 777 took off from Kuala Lumpur on its way to Beijing. It was less than an hour into the flight when the captain said,
"Good night, Malaysia, 370.
Minutes later, the transponder stopped transmitting identification and position. Military radar and data from the pilot's cell phone revealed that the plane had changed course and was now flying back across Malaysia. And the satellite data revealed MH370 continued flying for around 7 hours when the plane likely went down off the western coast of Australia.
Flight MH370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean.
And so this is a very positive step that the search is being resumed, because without searching, the plane will never be found.
Yeah, just remind people what happened then, because it really did just disappear, didn't it?
Well, it did and it didn't. There are traces of it, electronic traces. That's where the search is based on. But yes, in terms of the fact that we have no real idea what caused the plane to crash and why all these people had died, that's a 10-year mystery that needs to be solved.
Yeah, look, I appreciate some bits and pieces of it washed up, I think, in Madagascar in a few years back. But that really is all people have had to go on thus far. So are you surprised then that the search, a new search, has been sanctioned by the Malaysian government, which suggests something else has been found or is known about?
The disappearance of flight MH370 is one of the biggest mysteries in modern aviation history. Let's remind you of the story. The Malaysian Airlines Boeing 777 took off from Kuala Lumpur on the 8th of March 2014 at 12:41 local time. 239 people were heading for Beijing and were due to land around 6 hours later. But 38 minutes after takeoff, the pilot said goodnight to air traffic control and the plane disappeared off civilian radar screens. Malaysian military radar tracked it for another hour, watching it turn west off its planned route before it went out of range, 370 kilometres off Penang Island. The international search efforts were extensive. They calculated potential flight paths shown in yellow and then searched the Indian Ocean seafloor in areas shown in green, where it was most likely to have crashed.
The search was exceedingly extensive. 240,000 square kilometres were searched. The Indian Ocean is a very large place, 75 million square kilometres. So 240,000 is still a needle in a haystack, but it's a huge needle in a huge haystack.
It wasn't until July 2015, 16 months after the plane was last spotted, that debris was found washed up on Reunion, thousands of miles away from the search area, as well as in Mauritius and Tanzania. Since then, more searches have been carried out. Marine robotics company Ocean Infinity conducted one in 2018, but the aircraft couldn't be located. Now, the Malaysian government has agreed to a second no-find, no-fee deal of £56 million with the company.
I mean, for years, they've been campaigning. The last search was in 2018. And each year that went by, the families were disappointed that there was no movement. So this is definitely a positive development. There seems to be new political will to get to the bottom of this. What is a little bit concerning is that the area that they're searching is relatively small. It's only 15,000 square kilometers, where previously 240,000 square kilometers of seabed have been searched. 120,000 square kilometers of those by the same company that's going back out to resume the search, Ocean Infinity. And they've clearly got the best technology to find the plane. So we can be hopeful of that. But it is a curious thing that it's a relatively small search area that they're commissioning now. And personally, I'd like them to almost have a multi-year commitment to this, not just a small limited search, but something that a political commitment that we'll get to the bottom of this no matter how long it takes.
The last known contact with the aircraft was when Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah signed off "Good night, Malaysian 370." Shortly after this, the transponder was turned off, meaning it could not be tracked easily. According to military radar, the plane diverted from its planned route, instead flying back towards northern Malaysia and Penang, and then out into the Andaman Sea near Indonesia. And data then shows the plane turning south before tracking stopped entirely. Malaysia, Australia and China launched an underwater search in an area in the southern Indian Ocean off the coast of Western Australia. Now, this was based on data of automatic connections between an Inmarsat satellite and the plane. But two major searches and roughly $143 million later, there have been no significant findings of the aircraft's whereabouts. A report into MH370's disappearance published in July 2018 found that the plane's controls were likely manipulated, which deliberately took it off course. Investigators, however, could not confirm who was responsible or provide a firm conclusion about what exactly happened to the aircraft. And this reminds me of what you said in an interview at the start of the year, that you're convinced it would only take one more search in the right location to find this missing plane. How are you so sure when years of official searches have turned up nothing?
Well, there have been two major assumptions which we managed to break through. One assumption was that the plane just flew in a straight line for several hours into the Indian Ocean. The plane made several turns, including the diversion and further turns after their diversion. So it is a big assumption that no further turns were made, and we've now shown that there were indeed further turns. So the other assumption is that we've gone until fuel exhaustion, and that the plane ended soon after fuel exhaustion. Well, Boeing has shown that a Boeing 777 can glide for up to 110 nautical miles after fuel exhaustion. So this search is going to look further out and further afield than previous searches.
David, can I put you on the spot just to finish off? What do you think is most likely happened to this flight? Do you think, as some speculate, that there was intention behind it falling out of the air, or do you think there was some sort of catastrophe with the aircraft, or a plausible accident, for example?
Yeah, well, I'm one very much against this speculation, because there's people that already believe they know what happened, and for that reason, there's no reason for searching. And so until we find the plane, recover the black boxes, we don't know what happened to MH370.